Hi guys, Tobacco here with another Rift video. Today I'll be doing a Mage Warlock single target rotation. In my particular opinion, this spec is only a PvP spec. However, it can be used in PvE scenarios, especially fights that require a lot of maneuverability. You know, you can pretty much reapply all your dots without having to cast them, apart from life leech. So as long as you get the odd void bolt in there and you use your refreshing abilities correctly, this is definitely a viable spec to be used in PvE. Okay, so the actual abilities in order to be applied to the actual target starts with life leech. I'm gonna show the abilities in my actual abilities box here, because my dots aren't actually on my bars, they're hidden because they're applied to my mouse, and I have little what do you call these things, power auras, or Karul alerts, to alert me which dots need to be applied, and these are all in order here, so quite fits the Razor Naga quite nicely for this. And it tells me which button applies what. Love it. So the first ability is Life Leech, the next is Nadra's Torture, and the next is Nadra's Grasp. These two abilities are not dots, so these will drop off even if you use a refreshing ability. They are particular circumstantial skills. They only do damage based on their actual description. So what I mean is, now just Torture will only do that particular damage of 4,285 to 4,736 damage after a 16-second duration, which is way too long in a PvP. That's why they've added this little extra bit at the very end. If it is cleansed, it ticks for an extra 1,000 damage of the original base damage of the skill, and it also silences the actual cleanser. So that one's like a troll skill, I would say. Fantastic for PvP as long as you got a bit of a dickhead healer who doesn't really know what he's doing, or support. Nadra's Grasp, this particular skill stacks 5 times and only deals damage when the actual target uses an ability. So this one, in my opinion, is like really good for PvP, because there's no one person that will stand there for 15 seconds and not do anything. And if he cleanses any abilities off him to try and get rid of this, he's just going to end up blowing himself up with Torture. So it's kind of like a crap, I'm gonna have to do it anyway kind of thing. So it's a really lolable skill. The next ability is Dark Touch, just a normal dot skill. The next is a Necrosis, again just a normal dot skill. The next ability is Atrophy, which actually deals damage increasingly every second, which is quite nice because its final tick is about 1200 on a dummy, so I'm not really sure what it does in PvP, but it's still quite high. Defile. This is actually a charge consumer, so pretty much throughout this actual fight, you're going to be battling this skill. You're going to be battling to keep it on. It's not actually that hard to out charge it. I guess you could you actually increase your charge if you battle it with void bolts, but the reason why it's such a ball ache is when you use your empowered darkness. If you use this without having 100% charge at the time, you are going to drop Defile, and you're going to have to spend that extra global cooldown, which doesn't sound like a lot of time, 1 second. No, it's not a lot of time, but it's also on a dummy. I don't know about it in PvP, but it is 3,000 damage depending on your gear. 2,500 to 3,000 damage. 4,000 crit. So yeah, depending on your gear, this is about 2.5k to 3k damage that you could have done by just paying attention. Okay, now we have all these dots up. Fantastic. What's the next thing that we're doing? We're going to basically be aiming to get 100% charge now with Void Bolt. And we're going to intensively watch the cooldowns of our dots. Now at this point, we are going to need a few seconds before we press an ability to keep these up. So on the 6th second of the dots, you're going to press Empowered Darkness, which is going to increase all your damage by 40%, which is fantastic. Remember, it consumes 75% charge, so you should not press this until you have 100% charge. If you're not going to have 100% charge by the time that you need to press your Void Barrage to keep your dots up, you don't press it, because you're just going to lose that extra damage anyway, because you're going to be applying a dot, which is not clever, and it's just no. 100% charge, Empowered Darkness, Sacrifice Life, you have 60% increased damage now. Void Barrage on the 4th second of the dots. That will refresh every single dot apart from the Nadras, because they're not dots. So you're going to apply those once more, and you're going to Void Bolt spam as much as you can to get the most out of these two abilities right now. The 60% increased damage. That's going to drop off, and you're going to basically observe your dots again, and this time you can relax a little bit more because you don't rely on a cast. This time it is instant. You're going to let your dots drop to 1 second. As soon as you see that 1 second, you cancel everything you're doing, just nudge forward a little bit to cancel any cast, and you're going to hit Persist, which refreshes everything. However, again, it does not refresh the Nadras, so reapply those two abilities, and it's a rinse and repeat. Void Bolt spam all the way to 100%. If the Empowered Darkness is not going to be on cooldown, then don't bother for the 100% charge, just focus on your timers. On the 5th second, so this is the 6th second skill, Empowered Darkness, this is what you do on the 5th second of the dot, Sacrifice Life Damage, and on the 4th second of the dots, you do a Void Barrage. Okay, so like I said, this particular time you're not actually going to have Empowered Darkness on cooldown. So you just on the 5th second hit Sacrifice Life for your extra damage, and then just Void Barrage, which is going to refresh all your dots again. Now, depending on your actual target's health, at 50% you can apply Destroy, which is a fantastically high skill in PvP. PvE I will probably say it's higher, but PvP it's about a 1200 tick, so it's absolutely brilliant. So I will just run through the actual rotation on dummy right now to show you what it looks like in action. All the other abilities I wouldn't even worry about because they are not necessarily important for a single target. I mean, you can chuck that at it, I guess, but I mean, it's on a cooldown, Draining Bolt. You could use that at every cooldown just to, because it does pretty much just a little bit more damage than Void Bolt. So yeah, sure, you can use Draining Bolt as an extra ability. So the actual rotation is Life Leech, Nadra's Grasp, Nadra's Torture, Nadra's Grasp, Dark Touch, Necrosis, Atrophy, and Defile. Now we're just going to spam our Void Bolt to get 100% charge. We're going to pop these abilities now to try and keep these dots actually active. That's kept them up. Going to apply our Nadras. I'm just trying to keep the charge up there. That's why I cast the Void Bolt, just to keep the charge up so Defile doesn't drop off. Now I can relax just a little bit and wait for 1 second, cancel, and persist. Now we reapply our Nadras on cooldown. And we're back to square one. We do not have Empowered Darkness, so I don't need to panic too much. We're on the 5th second. Put your Void Bolt on the 4th second. It reapplies all our dots. Now we're waiting for these two abilities to come off cooldown. They're off. Reapply. You can use your Draining Bolt, like I said, when it's on cooldown. We're waiting for 1 second. Cancel what you're doing. Press your Persist. So 5.5k, I mean, it's not fantastic. That's why I wouldn't suggest using it for a... so I'm going to just punch that. Oh, I'm going to miss that bit this time because I weren't concentrating just enough. But basically, that particular time I did have Empowered Darkness. So I shouldn't have really stopped to look at my DPS there, but I could have... You can just keep this going over and over and over again without applying any dots, and it is actually a real fun, I guess, little spec to play. But I'll just say one more time, this is not really the best PvE spec. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.